Good morning. I'm Kevin Walker with the Overland Park Chamber of Commerce. I'm here today on behalf of the Johnson County Public Policy Council. Our Public Policy Council is a cooperative voter education effort by all of the Johnson County Chambers of Commerce. With us this morning is Holly Grummert, who's a candidate for Overland Park City Council, Ward 1. And Holly, before we get into our questions, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're running for office?
All right, well, I have been living in Overland Park about over 17 years, and I came to Overland Park because it's a great place to live and raise a family and work, and so I started getting really active in my PTA, and then I started a neighborhood organization for my neighborhood, and then was interested in what's happening at the city council, so I ran for city council. Just, it's such a great city, and I want to make sure we keep it that way, and that this is the place that my kids want to come back and live, and just continuing to make Overland Park a great place to be.
Well, in talking about Overland Park, can you tell us, do you think the city of Overland Park is headed in the right direction?
I think we are in a great position, and I think we have a very bright future. We continue to grow, we continue to expand, and we continue to reach out to our community to ask them what they want and what they need and where they see the city growing. We're in the middle of quite a few planning sessions for our comprehensive plan, for our urban forestry plan. We're doing electric vehicle charging station program. So we're really right now in a real gathering and researching mode to kind of see where we want to go in the future with that community engagement. So it's really an exciting time to be in Overland Park right now. Kind of, our adolescence of, we're 60 years old now, and like, where do we want to be when we grow up? So it's really an exciting time.
And with all that going on, can you share with us what your top 3 policy issues are going to be?
Yeah, so number 1, which is the same that I had last time I ran for office, was continuing to look at our housing and our affordability to live in Overland Park and accessible for residents in Overland Park. Continuing to look at policing policies, making sure that our policing policies match our community policies, and that we have a great partner with our policing department, and continue to be transparent in what your government is doing for you, and how we can better serve you, and access to that information, as well as continuing to be a welcoming community to live in and to visit and to work and play, and having everyone feeling that way about being in Overland Park.
And one of the big discussion points you all have on the council is tax dollars and the services that are provided. So what are your views on the services that our city's residents receive and the value they get for the tax dollars they pay?
Sure, yeah. Overland Park is the lowest mill levy in the county, and considering we have over 80 parks and we have 2 community centers, we have 4 pools, we have a top-notch workforce of 1,200 people working for the city. We continue to have a lot of great amenities that residents can access here, trails, and we continue to grow those programs throughout the community. So I think we're really in a great position, and we continue to look at those amenities and basic services and how we can better deliver those for residents.
I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about the business community. What role, if any, do you believe the city should play in economic development to bring jobs and capital investment to the community?
Well, our business community is a huge partner in any city, and especially in our city. How we grow residents is how we can employ residents, and that partnership is essential because we want people to come here and live and then have great jobs. And so how we think about getting employers to come to the city and be happy and finding great places to rent or build their business, and that just makes the quality of life better for all residents if you can have a great partnership with businesses to help grow the whole community.
In thinking longer term, as the city considers future development and redevelopment projects, what are your views on how the city should best manage our growth?
Well, this is an opportunity for the city to make partnerships with businesses and create synergy around exciting opportunities for businesses and for the city, because when we make partnerships with businesses, we all win. We all get to come together and say, hey, it would be great to have X, Y, and Z business, but like we also think housing is an important option, and we think walkability is an important option, and green spaces, and how we can come together with the business community and the city and the community and talk about what our best needs and how we can all get those met together. That's part of what the comprehensive plan will be, hopefully, about land use and how we think about future growth and how we get residents engaged in that and get all of our needs met. Businesses, employers, residents, housing, and then get great amenities that come with that, walkability, green spaces, coffee, pickleball, all the things that Overland Park residents want and love. How do we make those projects real?
And with growth always comes a handful of challenges. So what do you see are the greatest challenges the city's going to face over the next 10 years, and how do you think you'd address some of those things?
We are getting bigger. We are over 200,000 people in the city. So how we make sure we're managing growth, managing new housing, new business developments, I think that's going to be a challenge. Where we see development should go, where we think housing should go. I think we're going to also need to kind of look at our budget as a city, which is kind of back office stuff, and making sure we are being able to handle consistent funding for basic services. So this is like police and fire and public works, making sure those boring regular services that government provide for you are funded consistently, and then using sales tax and a more for other things, and making sure basic services are getting met. So that's kind of like back house things I think about, but I think housing is going to continue to be top of mind. I think childcare is still going to be top of mind. And as a city, how do we, leverage our partnerships throughout the city to help create better opportunities for both of those avenues? And labor. Labor has become a continuing concern throughout the community. How do we make those paths to employment easier for folks, and how do we get businesses tapped into those labor markets? Yeah.
Well, my last question relates to housing. You've mentioned that several times already. Mm-hmm. So what specific proposals do you have to support the goal of providing accessible housing throughout our city?
Mm-hmm. That's a great question, because first of all, I think there's a lot of confusion about accessible housing and what that means. I think there's a lot of fear around, is this going to be subsidized housing? Is this going to be, what is the city's role for housing? And I think we need to think about how we find housing or create housing for like our essential workers, for our teachers, for our firemen, for our nurses, and what does that look like? And I think what we need to look at the city is zoning, because right now really we have easy access to building apartments and easy pathways to building single family homes. And how do we think about other zoning opportunities in Overland Park? How do we think about apartments above garages, or small accessory dwellings in the backyards? How do we think about maybe an apartment in the basement, or other opportunities for housing besides those two avenues? And how do we think about creating other housing choices? You think about like European communities and how they have businesses on the bottom and housing on the top, and just trying to think about how that best fits for Overland Park and how we can create other opportunities.
Well, that's it for the questions I have. I want to give you a chance to offer any final thoughts you might want to offer up.
Okay, well, I am excited to run again and represent Overland Park for another 4 years. It's been such a great community, and have such great support, and continuing moving forward with housing opportunities, continue moving forward with sustainability opportunities, and how we create a greener city that's sustainable for residents, and just making sure that Overland Park is going to be a great place for the next 20 years for the residents and for our kiddos who want to come back and hopefully live here.
Well, Holly, I want to thank you for spending a few minutes with us this morning. Let me remind everyone that advance voting begins on Saturday, October 28th, and Election Day is Tuesday, November 7th.